It is so lovely to be here. Like Tina said, I'm Alexa.
And I'm Annie.
And it's wonderful standing in front of y'all in real life today. We are going to get right to it because we have a lot of friends who are sharing. So as Tina said, we thought that it would be really special for our first event back in person inside to celebrate the creativity that exists in this community, that is the pulse of this community and that has been born through 2 very hard years, and just to celebrate each other. To do that, I'm going to walk us through a few logistics first, and then Annie is going to lead us through a really beautiful visualization to get us started. So as y'all know, some of you have submitted slides. If you have submitted slides in advance, our hope is that you're in the front row and that you are seated at the chair that has your name on the back. If not, we're going to invite you to come up and find your seat or sit in the front row. So Annie, will you say the first 4 people who we would love to line up on this side are?
Anna, Angelica, Betty, Brooke, and Carolyn.
So you can go ahead and line up. Essentially, we have you organized in alphabetical order, and then since it looks like some of them are not here, we can also just go along the line, and we'll call your name and you'll see your slide.
Yeah. I think Dipti, Etienne, and Ava, you can go ahead as well.
Awesome. So because we have so many folks, we're going to invite y'all to speak for about 1.5 minutes. I know it's really short. This is just a tasting platter of all of our creative offerings, and we're going to be able to, share with each other afterwards as well. So when you do speak, we're going to invite you to hold the mic close to your mouth instead of down here, because then we can't hear you. So we will remind you to bring the mic closer if you need. We're just going to have you come up here, exit on that side, and we'll get going. Annie, please take us away.
So to help us tune in to our collective creativity, whether or not you are sharing today or just simply taking it all in, I'm going to invite you to do a brief visualization exercise with us, inspired by Alexa's guitar teacher, Isla Cantor Santiago. So if you're comfortable, I invite you to close your eyes or lower your gaze. Imagine that there is a stream of ideas. Every time you step into it, it's a different moment, and different things are flowing past you. Yet it feels familiar. You've been here many times before. Imagine dipping your hand into the stream, the water flowing past your fingertips. We often operate under a mentality of scarcity, that if we don't bottle up these ideas the moment we receive them, we're going to lose them forever. But I invite you to trust that that stream is always there. So reach down, cup some of that flowing water in your hands, and lift it to your chest, because that creativity is deep inside of you. Thank you. You may open your eyes or lift your gaze.
All right, y'all. Again, we're going to try to get through everybody, and there might be time after for more folks to come up. We're just going to kind of see how this flows. Thank you, Annie. All right. Anna.
Hello, good morning. My name is Anna. So this pandemic, as all of you probably do also, I can't quite focus on Zoom calls all the time, so I found myself essentially drawing these doodles on Post-it notes, and I started giving them away to some friends and family for the holidays, and in the back I would write to take you to a time and space wherever you might be, because some of my friends think that it's kind of trippy, so you could just kind of get lost to it. So this year, I started kind of like measuring time based on the doodles that I create, and my goal is to make 10,000 of these. And so far, I have like 1,000 something. And every 100 Post-it notes, there's this scribble that you can kind of see, and that's like the byproduct of like all of the shading. I've collected all of the Sharpies, and yeah, I just think this is kind of like my way of measuring time during the pandemic. And this is a way of escaping and rebelling in a way that now we have digital art with NFTs that's generated by AI and computers. So I thought maybe a human should generate 10,000 different things, and I'm just kind of taking it on. And you can follow along. I try to write more of it on Medium. The link is on the slide, but you could also look me up. And yeah, thank you.
And we will be sharing the slide deck after as well, so y'all can click on all these links. Okay, Angelica. Is Angelica here? Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Angelica. I put together a 4-part EP, and I'm now working on a visual EP. I started that album in the beginning of the pandemic in 2020 when my work disappeared, as many people experienced. I worked in live events, and it was a really scary time where we didn't know if live events would ever happen again. So the 4-part EP follows the different phases of the pandemic. The first one is called Stateside, when the virus arrived to the US and everyone was panic buying TP. I think everyone remembers that. The second is called Death and Sourdough. So that was when the death rates were very, very high, and then we had this very ironic trend of people making sourdough, also doing their own laundry and other elements of that. Then the third is called An Awakening, which I like to actually call the White Awakening, following the death of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor, where the conversation shifted to focus on white supremacy and how it infiltrates our society and everyday life. And then the last is called Brave New World. So this was written in 2020 when we didn't know what the world would look like. And as it turns out, there is a vaccine and it looks like things are returning to normal, but as we enter year 3, I think it's been really interesting to note that it has taken time. So what I've done is I've actually shared a work in progress clip. I know we have just a few minutes, so you'll just get a sampling of it. But this one is, you really can't see it, but this one is unique because for the piece that's titled An Awakening, I made sure that I wanted to highlight Black voices for this piece. So this is directed by a Black director and performed by classically trained Black dancers. And I think if it's okay, can we play a little bit of that? Or okay, cool. So this is available online. You can check it out. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, so Betty's not. Okay, our friend Betty is not here, but next slide. Carolyn. Oh wait, I think I can't see. Okay. Yeah. Is she here?
Hi everyone, my name is Carolyn. So my project is during October. There's a bunch of art challenges that are around where you make something every day. So I particularly followed one called Peachtober, started by this Australian artist, Very Little Peach. So basically there's a different word prompt every day, and I made a painting associated with that word. And I love ducks, so I wanted every single painting to have a duck in it. So yeah, some of these, one was submarine, so I drew a sub sandwich as the duck bill. Another one was harvest, so I drew like a Korean harvest table. And the one on the right there is, the word was beetle, so I drew the Beatles' Let It Be album as ducks. Yeah, so you can see all of them on my Instagram or website, and I'm also selling a few of them if you're interested. All right, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Deepti. Hopefully I'm not blocking this. But I'm an illustrator and sculptor, and I want to talk a little bit about my sketchbook practice over the last 2 years. I started doing it as a way to kind of get past a really massive art block. And now it's evolved into something that's pretty consistent. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. I was really struggling with making it consistent, but then I was trying a bunch of different things, and then I spoke to a friend of mine, and I tend to be like really ambitious with my time and what's possible with it, and then it just tends to fall flat. And I talked to her about it and talked about like my frustration with not finding enough time apart from my day jobs my day jobs were taking up a lot of my time and I wasn't doing enough of my art. So I spoke to her about it and she was like, you need to make it really small and you need to make it really easy to add to your practice. And so she suggested that I draw on my commute to work back and forth, and it was something I had to do anyway, and then I drew at that time, and now thanks to that, it's become really consistent, and it's become, like, my sketchbook has become a place that's kind of like home for me. So I would say if you want to start something that you're struggling to make consistent, just make it really easy to add to your life. I'm going to attempt to show you pages that maybe you cannot see with one hand, but hopefully you can see something. But this is one of my more consistent sketchbooks. Also, I found that it really helps me to speak about my process and my practice with somebody else. It helps me figure it out better. So if any one of you are interested in that kind of thing, I'd love to speak to you. Thank you.
Etienne?
Hi everyone, my name is Etienne. I like working on personal projects that get strangers to engage with each other. And I wanted to share a project today that happened a couple of years ago. Worked on it with my friends Danny, Tim, Han-Young. But it was called Message in a Bottle, and it was an experiment that happened across a couple of cities. So what it was an anonymous phone hotline where strangers could leave voicemails for each other. So they could do anything they wanted. So we had a couple hundred of these placards up right here. We put them up in San Francisco, in New York, in Sao Paulo, and in London. And we were really surprised when thousands of people started calling in. And we were even more surprised when they were overwhelmingly positive and heartwarming messages. So I have one clip that I'm going to play for you all today. You're not supposed to have favorites, but this is one of my favorite. So I'm going to play it from my phone. This one was recorded in New York, and I hope you enjoy.
So today I took a walk around Prospect Heights, where I used to live. I moved there in 2012. And I walked through my old neighborhood, and then I decided to walk through the park, and I ended up here at this bench and didn't even mean to end up here. But it makes me think of the time when I lived in that neighborhood where I went on a blind date with this girl in Park Slope. And we met up, and we got sandwiches. And then we went and sat in the park. And we were sitting on a bench that looks a lot like this bench, which is right near the big open field here in Prospect Park. We're sitting there on that bench, and this dude runs up. He's a jogger. We're on one side of the bench, and he runs up, and he's super out of breath. He puts his foot up on the bench and looked like he was going to stretch or something, and he kind of just looked at us. And then out of nowhere, he just lets out the biggest fart. He just goes, and then he looked at us, and then he just sprinted off.
So we built a website. It's linked here. It's called messages.city. You can listen to all of the recordings that people left behind. And if you're interested in work with a similar kind of sensibility, you can find it on my website. I'm always looking for collaborators. So thank you.
Ava?
Hi, I'm Eva Phillips. I work at a creative agency as a creative technologist and experience designer. But on the side, I've been playing around with data visualization. So these are just some examples that I've posted recently. On the left, some might not consider it a data visualization, but I do. It's I walk around my city block at home, and I keep track of sort of the leaf coverage on the trees on my block. I've been doing this on the 11th day of every month for the past 8 or so months. This was the first time I did it, and my goal is to sort of have a collage of them after a year. The next one, I'm looking at ridership data from the MTA. This data sort of starts at the beginning or right before the pandemic, so you can kind of see the drop-off of subways and buses. And then this last one is my most recent one. This looks at a data set from the Trust for Public Land, and there's tons of data that I want to play around with in this data set, but in their report they have one line that shows that parks in communities of predominantly people of color are on average half the size as parks in predominantly white communities, but they serve 5 times the people in those smaller parks. So this is sort of the last page of that visualization. That's sort of the payoff. But yeah, those are 3 examples.
Francisco?
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Francesco. Here to present a little project that started a little bit earlier than the pandemic, and it was inspired by IRL events and just sharing things with others while you were on a coffee shop or walking. And since I've tried to keep it alive, but just doing it screen by screen. And I'm here today, and I'm very excited just to share that again in person. It's called More or Less Project, and at this time you likely have a card with you, and I'll really explain just what it is. And for me, More or Less Project is a participatory public art initiative that puts forward, as you see, in a blank space to invite anyone to just reflect on their values and desires. And in that time, consider what they hold important in their lives and in their surroundings. And what I loved about this prompt is that we're often asking for more and just what we want and the next thing that we need. But for a little time, we reflect on maybe what we could use less or what we could eventually ourselves do a little less too. So in that, I try to hold the dichotomy of both, and for you to see not only that it's a give and take, a take and take, it's also you have to get something up as well. And within that, I would say, I ask you now to think what that would be for you, and what does it mean for you to read, or when you see the words more and when you see the words less. In general, I often try to ask people, you can grab the card, you can fill it out, and then you just keep it for yourself and really reflect on it, maybe put it on the fridge, keep it close to you. I try to put mine maybe near my laptop where I work all the time. And then in general, also invite someone else to talk about it, because I feel like sometimes it's important to also share that story. And a big prompt of this in the past has been to talk to a stranger and simply share that card. Hopefully they have a card too, so there can be more of an equal conversation. And then in general, keep it and also share it with someone, but at the same time it's for you and not for anyone else, because it can be really vulnerable. So that's a bit of the project, and excited to bring it back in person as it's been on screens, but it's not the same. So thank you for listening.
Is Jesse McGuire here? Oh. Woo. Oh, you can come around this way. Yeah.
Hello. I'm so sorry. They told me, I know. Hello. Oh, yeah, it's black. So I am so excited to talk about a project that has brought me joy. I had the privilege to work with a dozen or so creative people at a studio. When the lockdown happened, we knew that the best thing we could do was stay home, and we knew that was a privilege. We knew that it was a privilege to be at home and be creative, but that didn't make it any less scary. That didn't make it any less isolating. That didn't make it any less, just what could we do with that? So we wanted to experiment. We wanted to figure out what we could do to understand the impact COVID was having on creativity. So we created a project called COVIDity. And we learned how to create digital worlds. We learned how to do VR, AR, and we created these 6 worlds that explored COVID's impact on creativity. We explored we kept seeing the little spore of the virus, and we said, well, what would that look like if we actually got to visit it as an island or a planet? And so we created these worlds, and then our designer said, well, we don't want to just keep it behind a screen. Let's go project it. But then we realized we didn't want to bring people together because we didn't want that to happen. So we wanted to create this for the people who would be walking by. So we got a projector, and we decided we wanted to experiment, we wanted to figure out what that would be like, and we projected it onto 6 places in and around New York. I'm not going to say you don't not need a permit to project on the Brooklyn Bridge, but if you have a projector and you go to the Brooklyn Bridge and you happen to project it, it is pretty incredible. And so anyone who, and you can't really see it. So that's it. So I just wanted to say, as designers and creative people, we should just be experimenting more and overthinking less. We need to just make and be and create here in the city and be a part of the fabric. Let's get weird and be amazing. So thank you so much.
Gian?
Thanks. Hi, I'm Gian. If you can't pronounce that, it's Gian is fine as well. I am a singer-songwriter, and my husband and I are in a band called Gian and Greg, and we're a folk soul duo based in Brooklyn. We moved here in 2016 to pursue music together, and yeah, we've been here ever since. And throughout the pandemic, actually 3 months into the pandemic, my dad was diagnosed with stage 3B cancer that advanced to stage 4. It was lung cancer, and so my husband and I had to put a pause on our music and just start spending more time with them in Virginia. That's where I grew up. And so through that experience, I learned a lot more about my family. And throughout the pandemic, obviously, we've seen so much anti-Asian hate kind of coinciding with what was happening with my family. And it was just kind of like became more aware, and I kind of had my own awakening. I call it my own Asian American awakening of my own identity and my own experiences with racism, and just kind of became more aware of that. And I saw other people waking up as well, other Asian Americans. And so I started a community called Kajok, and in Korean, Kajok means family. And I think it was birthed out of the fact that I was spending so much time with my family, helping my dad translate, helping my parents get medical help, and seeing the difficulties that they face as immigrants, and the difficulties I face as an immigrant myself. Even though I'm like more of a 1.5 generation, I also dealt with racism and discrimination. And so I started a podcast called Kajok, which you can find on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you stream podcasts. And I talk about the struggles, the joys, the beauty of being Asian American. And I also started a group, a monthly virtual gathering for Korean American and Korean diasporic women to gather and just hold space with each other and have a safe space in the midst of all that's happening to Asian Americans across the world and across our country and in our city. And so if you're Korean American, Korean diasporic, please come contact me. And definitely check out our work at Gian and Greg on Instagram and Kajok on Instagram as well. And thank you so much for your time.
Is Letitia here? Oh, amazing.
Hello, I'm Letitia. So, 52 weeks, 26 projects, and one hell of a year. In 2021, I committed to doing a project, illustration, and write-up for a word in alphabetical order every 2 weeks. And the projects were really interesting. You know, I did everything from board games to no-code apps to a jam about jam using jam. And, there were a lot of learnings, a lot of explorations of identity, emotion, and some fun things like oops and yummy. I was really impressed with what I was able to accomplish in 2 weeks or less. That said, I did fall behind at times. I actually, when I was working on the word kindness, I failed to be kind to myself. I was a little hard because the project took a lot longer than I intended. And I fell behind when I got COVID and I was busy with work. And as the year came to a close, I had this decision to make. Would I finish the project, the remaining projects, in half the time with half the quality, or would I do something a little more radical, which was invite my friends and supporters to adopt a letter? And I have to say, I was really I didn't realize how much joy it would bring them and me. And, the projects, they were really touching. We had a person who created a storytelling booth made out of cardboard and foam to help record memories of her parents. Another friend, co-designed a game of wonder with her young daughter. And one of the Alpha Questers said to me as he finished his project, this meant so much to me. It inspired me. I always do projects, but then I give up because I feel like they're not great enough, or I don't make time for them because it's not professional. And, I forgot how to continue to being a musician, a creator. And so when he thanked me, it felt special to not only discover my creative confidence in this process, but be able to connect my friends to that creativity too.
Hello. Hi, everyone. I'm Lilibeth. I'm originally from Colombia, and I create Soul Doodles in the middle of the pandemic. It's my baby pandemic, and basically Soul Doodles is a community where I start interviewing different illustrators and artists around the world with the main purpose of inspiring people to create more art. It's been amazing. We have so many illustrators that have been sharing their stories of how to create and how to get inspired. I also do different IGTVs. And yeah, it's basically a community that is opening up a Slack channel for everyone to receive feedback in their artwork and also feedback in their illustrations. And I also have a little calendar or illustration challenge every month where people can follow up and create, because when I was starting as an illustrator, it was very hard to have an idea every day. So yeah, Soul Doodles is open for everyone, and if you check it out and share it with your friends, please do. And yeah, thank you so much.
Mark?
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm a creative of many different things. Mostly my art is always about honoring people or communities or neighborhoods in very different ways. And it started all digital, and I work in digital, and I wanted to get away from that. And then I went into my other love, which is basketball. So I started tattooing basketballs through cutting and burning. And then I realized I have a really good connection with my neighbor, Vishan. This is, by the way, a secret project. Can't tell anybody about it because Vishan doesn't know about this yet. But anyways, so he's really into skateboarding. He's an amazing human being. He's been through a lot, and he just turned his life around in the last two years. Really, somehow the pandemic just turned his life around. And so I always challenged myself. And like I said, I invented this basketball tattooing thing. And I was like, well, he's into skating. So I actually cut and burned a skateboard just by hand using a Dremel, and got into really too much detail. This project should have taken like 2 weeks. It's now month 4, but I'm not giving up. But yeah, it's just really interesting. It's something to touch. All my art is about touching people. I'm trying to get away from the digital thing. But anywho, yeah, it's just about challenging yourself, just like I challenged myself to get up on stage and say something today. So go out. Thank you.
Roxandra?
Good morning. So I'm Roxandra. I'm a designer specialized in color, and I just moved from Barcelona to New York 2 months ago. So I'm brand new here, and thank you. a little bit after I arrived, I was walking on the streets of Brooklyn, and these houses caught my attention. They had these like really sophisticated, muted browns and reds, and I thought, these are really beautiful. And I later discovered these are called brownstones. So I started documenting these colors. I found them really nice, the way they shift from one house to the other, to the next, and the next. And I realized that the more I did that, the more I discovered different colors, that there's some of them are like almost, they kind of veer towards orange, others towards red, others towards pink, even lilac. So there's this huge like variety behind the idea of brownstone. Wink, wink. And so doing this project has been has had a good aspect that has been not only just like wandering on the streets of a new city, but also meeting people. So when I kind of document the brownstones, usually I look like this. So like with one eye closed, like I use an app on my phone, so I look a bit weird in front of the houses. And sometimes people inside the houses come out and they're like, "Are you looking for someone?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just, documenting brownstones." And usually people react pretty positively to it. So there was a really nice lady who said, "Wait, 1 second. Take this. This is the sandstone that I used to renovate my brownstone with." And she gave me this. And so now I have a little bit of this material that these houses are made of. So all this kind of research and documentation and stuff is going to become an article that I want to write. So if any of you live on a beautiful street with beautiful brownstones, or know of one, please share it with me. That would be really nice. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sean. Everyone is so good at talking. I'm so nervous right now. I'm sorry. I draw, and I want a calendar to keep track of my drawing every day. And my friend and I built a little website to track that. So the idea is very simple. I draw, and then I just click on the calendar. Oh, you can't see it. That's a calendar. And once you do it for a few days, there's like a streak, and I get kind of like, I get kind of happy, and I don't want to break the streak, so I want to keep on going. And then the other thing too is that because it's public, I can see what my friend's streak is doing, and we will kind of encourage each other. He writes, I draw, and he'll just kind of text me. That's really what it is. And there's like a little logbook down below the calendar. You can kind of like upload or just write what you've done. That is all. That's the website, doevery.day. That's the actual website address, /sign up. That is it.
All right, Virginia. Or no. Tony, I don't know where your slide is, but come on up. I know, it's not coming up for some reason.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, I literally made my slide on the train on the way here, so it's totally cool. Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Tony Bacigalupo. Okay, real quick. I'm not Wilton, sorry. I did a walk and talk yesterday with a couple of my friends. It was super cold. I didn't want to do it, but I really needed to get out of the house and actually interact face-to-face with other people. For how many people is that still like a big deal? That we're yeah, right? Like this is a big deal. So I'm doing just very simple things to reconnect to humans and wedge myself out of my house. I'm doing another walk and talk on April 4th if you want to come hang with me. But I believe that loneliness is a huge problem and one that we can all fix. We don't need to wait for a policy change or any new tech. And there's a lot of people in this room who are working on really cool projects that I think we can help tell the stories of and inspire other people to copy and remix around the world. So if we chip away at loneliness, maybe we can make the world a little bit less lonely. So if you want to come talk to me about that, come talk to me. And come walk with me. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Oh my gosh. Okay, we have one more friend, Virginia. And Tony also has a character named Sinclair. It's amazing. So you can find Tony's slide in the slide deck, which is being sent out after the event. One more friend. Oh yeah, that's Virginia.
Hello. In the interest of time, I'm going to just jump right into my poem that actually fits a bit with the folklore theme. It's fun. It's called The Farmhouse. The farmhouse went down the other day. I was told it collapsed to the ground, but I like to think it happened a different way. The bathroom flushed itself, disgusted by all it had endured. Then the closets calmly stepped out to draw their first breath of light and air. The kitchen, it stirred into combustion. Only the children's magnetic letters remained in their refrigerated form, happy. The mudroom mopped up, erasing itself of muddy paws and old boots. The living room retired into its own collapsed walls, but the dining room was not so courteous. It hurled the table through the window, vanishing from cheer and company. And so the windows followed, shattering dramatically for emphasis before cutting back into their elemental positions in the dirt. Finally, the photographs leapt out of their frames, rejoining each individual memory. The bedroom remained asleep, rejecting the idea of vacancy. It said, "You will not have my secrets, hiding in my drawers and wrapped up in messy sheets." It looked a bit awkward, the bedroom suspended defiantly above nothing. Meanwhile, the exterior offed itself, militarily pulling each board away, nail by nail, clap, clap, snap, before marching back into the trees that they had been before. So here remained the bedroom exposed, lights on and eyes of fear. The pigs stopped slopping and the chickens hunkered low in the coop. Even the cattle recognized the moment, watching and waiting without a single chew. There were no crickets chirping, no frogs humming, a heavy silence, and then the bedroom door blew off its hinges. The bureau was sucked out first. Embarrassed, the top drawer unraveled its contents. Then came the mirror. It released the hours spent in vain looking. The rug plopped out. It was tired of being stepped on and frankly happy to be gone. There was a lull after this. The bed crawled out, and with it arrived a confusion of feelings, despair, longing, and bliss, what the bed had supported all these years. And then it was dead, a heap of rubble, futile. The farmhouse went down the other day. I was told it collapsed to the ground, but I like to think it happened a different way. It's a fun one.
Thank you. All right, everybody. If you would like to give a final round of applause, that was our last friend. We're going to invite Tina back to close us out.
Thank you both, Alexa and Annie, for planning this and organizing. And let me see. How do I get out of this? Let me go back to the other side. Sorry. How lovely was this? I'm so proud of this community. Everyone's so creative. And by the way, the everyday.do, Sean, he's the co-founder of Harvest who supports us, by the way. I just said it, Sean. I just did. This was wonderful. I can't wait. We're gonna edit the video, and then you can watch it again. And we're gonna also follow up with everyone's links in the email that goes out afterwards, if you want to look them up. So thank you all for sharing. I know it can be really intimidating to be on stage, so extra points for all of you. And then I want to thank our volunteers. Yamana, Shiva, Sisi, Frederick, Bobby, Amy, Rebecca, Dalit, Rachel, Matthew, Peter, Maria, and thank you for Almira and Connie for documenting the event. I am so happy we're back in the land of volunteers, I must say. So you're wonderful. Thank you so much. And as always, I want to leave you with a quote, because that's what I do. And this month's quote is actually, I actually found because of Annie. Because Annie introduced me to the artist Alma Thomas, and his love comes by looking. And now, so here's the thing. When we had to move to digital, we basically had to reinvent, so what is a digital Creative Mornings? What are the things we can take to digital? What translate, what doesn't translate? So who of you has been to a Creative Mornings New York on Zoom? So you know what we do at the end. So we're trying to bring something that we did on Zoom to IRL, which we actually gotten really fond of. And that's that we dance out of our events. So it might be completely awkward, but just flow with it, okay? Do what you feel comfortable. But we're going to kind of try to dance out of the event in honor of 2 years of being in a Zoom rectangle. How's that? Did I cue this up okay? Cool. This is an experiment.